Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Flo Michelle.
And I'm Shelley Seddon.
And we are two entertainment journos based in Sydney, Australia, who love to analyse and talk about all things reality, TV and pop culture.
Each week on Receipt Roundup, we bring you our take on what's trending.
This week on the show, the trashiness of the valley, the weird MAFS crossovers continue on Love Triangle, the heartbreaking Alec Baldwin new doco and more. But first, the farmer drama of Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yes, so it's the 15th season of this beloved show, and we are loving the farmer drama. So people watch this because it's wholesome and it's kind of the anti-MAFS.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm just going to say strap in because like MAFS, there is a lot going on behind the scenes, and I'm not so sure this show's going to be wholesome this year. So first off, let me just say that Farmer Wants a Wife is the real deal. It's resulted in 11 marriages and 27 babies in the past season. So I say take that, experts.
Yeah, and this year there's no Sam Armytage hosting. She left to host The Golden Bachelor, and Natalie Gruzlewski, who was demoted to a smaller co-hosting role for the past 2 seasons, is now back. Gosh, that is so professionally embarrassing for her.
Yeah, but I think the audience loves having her back. So the fans love her. She's a fan favorite. And this is also good news for my husband because he has a bit of a crush on Nat. I would say she's like JLP on Survivor is to us.
So Farmer only premiered on Monday, but there are already major shakeups. One of the original farmers, Jack Rowlandson, a professional bull rider from New South Wales, was cut from the show after filming Wrapped. OMG.
Oh, no.
Rumour has it that Jack likes to ride a lot of things. According to the Daily Mail, Jack got to intimately know one of the female contestants who apparently also had an OnlyFans account. Which I have to say, if you're stuck in the country with not a lot of workplace options nearby, OnlyFans would probably be a good job to do from home, right?
It's the ultimate remote work. And so he also hooked up with an outside rando during production. So apparently producers were ready to overlook his F-boy behavior and turn it into ratings gold until some compromising photos surfaced. According to the Daily Mail, Jack was so distressed that the images might be made public, he tried to have them deleted before producers found out. But of course, the producers were always going to find out, and they immediately went into damage control mode, getting lawyers to fire off an urgent letter to the show's entire cast on November 17th, saying production was aware of photos and recordings taken during the production period, which may have been distributed between participants and also to external parties.
And oh dear, it gets even worse. It went on to say distributing images, intimate images, was a serious crime, commonly referred to as revenge porn. Shades of Real Housewives of Atlanta there, and is punishable by 3 years jail or a fine of up to $11,000. It says anyone in possession of the images must not distribute them and must delete them immediately or face serious consequences.
So Jack insists that he never consented to posing for nude images and never consented to them being shared. And there was actually no formal investigation conducted either around this whole incident. So obviously this is a nightmare for production, who then scrapped Jack's entire storyline at the 11th hour. They had to pour tens of thousands of dollars into reshooting key scenes in order to keep the wholesome image of this show.
So knowing this, I think they shot the 4 farmers walking in and talking at the front. But I did notice whenever it panned to the room, they only showed the right-hand side, which was ladies standing at 2 barrels. They never showed the left-hand side, which maybe would have been ladies around the 3 barrels. It was actually very cleverly edited.
Yeah, I was watching
almost seamless.
Too. Yeah, like for a random arm or a random head or like something. But as if that weren't enough drama, Jack wasn't the only farmer to leave the show. The Daily Telegraph reports Farmer Tom, the sheep farmer from New South Wales, had a rough start with 2 girls leaving his farm in the first 24 hours. He actually ended up quitting the show early rather than continue the journey to find his person.
So is that the reason why the show this season is on just 2 nights instead of 4, do you think?
I think it has to be because they originally started with 8 farmers and then they had women send in their applications. They apparently got thousands of applications. They screened all of that. Then they decided to film with just 5 of the farmers. So now 1 farmer has been cut, 1 has left early. So now we are down to 3 farmers.
Oh my God. Hallelujah. I
know.
am so happy to hear that. I could not bear to commit to another dating show for 4 nights a week. It's a part-time job.
Yeah.
You know, every journo and commentator I know, including us who followed MAFS, was exhausted. And I think viewers were exhausted too. It's too much commitment.
Yeah.
I spent more time with MAFS, I think, after work than my own kids. I'm so relieved. Thank God for dud farmers.
I know. I'm secretly happy as well. And just while we're speaking of MAFS, I saw something kind of interesting last weekend. I was walking around Cremorne Point on Easter Sunday, and I spotted a celebrity in the wild. It was Adrian from MAFS.
Oh, gosh, that's a good one.
I know. So he was with a very pretty girl. I didn't recognize her. She wasn't someone from the show. He was talking on his phone and looking down like he's very important and like he didn't want to be recognized. But I did make eye contact with her. So they weren't holding hands or anything, but they were spending Easter Sunday afternoon together. So I think that's kind of significant, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know it wasn't his twin James?
I know. So that's a really good question. My stepdaughter Millie said the same thing. So that got me thinking about Adrian's poor twin. Can you imagine how much abuse that guy must get?
Unless he's exactly the same and
yeah,
he
that's
deserves
true.
it.
Exactly. So I thought it was Adrian because he had on the uniform of the black singlet and black shorts, and he had his head down like, I don't want to be recognized. But I think he secretly loves the fame. Otherwise, you would put a hat on and you wouldn't walk around Cremorne Point on a Sunday when it's absolutely packed with families and people enjoying an Easter picnic.
I do wonder what he's going to do in winter time. He is going to have to put a top on over the singlet. He knows that, right? I don't know. So now on to what many people are already calling the best show on Bravo, The Valley, which is basically a lot of ex-Vanderpump rulers who now live in an area north of central LA. So I know last week I said I like my reality TV spicy and full of arguments. I think I've found my spirit animal in the Valley because, my God, it's a fever dream of everybody getting divorced or on the brink of divorce. They've all had babies or toddlers. They're pregnant. They're all stressed. They're all having breakdowns. I actually loved it, but I did need a nap and a Panadol afterwards.
I don't understand. Why do so many people like this show? It's awful.
Oh, no.
So
Give it a chance.
Well, I have two issues, which kind of, I think they might explain my ick. The first one is I've never watched Vanderpump Rules. I know this is shocking.
You haven't lived.
I know.
And it's over now.
Scandival. I like Scandival means nothing to me.
That was the best season ever. Now it's gone.
So like it's shocking for someone who loves reality TV. I do not know these people. I have no idea who these idiots are, and I'm not invested in anything that they do.
Okay.
And the second thing is geographical, the Valley. This is not a desirable place to live. So full disclosure, I've lived in LA twice. The first time I moved there was in the mid-90s when I was obviously very young, cough, and very green. So I got a little apartment in North Hollywood, which is in the Valley, because I was a production assistant on a show called Home Improvement, long time.
You're saying that like no one's ever heard of it before.
It's just showing my age.
Decades ago.
It was
very popular.
It was very popular, and it taped at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, and so it was super convenient for me to live in North Hollywood. And I would never choose to live in the Valley now that I know better. And the second time I lived in LA, I did not live in the Valley. But so what was really funny about that job, I was thinking about it, is that I had never watched Home Improvement before I worked there because it was on the same time as Melrose Place. And so this was before you like really recorded shows. I don't even think I owned a VCR, the Stone Age. So everyone was like, oh my God, you work on Home Improvement. And I'm just like, I don't care.
Okay, we're so doing a shallow dive on your time working with Home Improvement and Tim Allen and Pamela Anderson and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, JTT.
I babysat them.
Okay, well, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
For another time. Well, that aside, there are 12 cast members in the Valley, so it's a lot. Okay, that's a squad of, a sporting team. Also, they do transplant some of the most problematic people from Vanderpump Rules as friends of. Making appearances will be Shayna Shea, Lala Kent and Tom Schwartz, who's already popped up. I would love to see some of the old VP PR crew join permanently, especially Lala, who I find fascinating and stunning. You've got your girl crush in Paige from Summer House. Mine is Lala.
Okay, fair enough. So the cast members are obviously young and they're starting their families, and the Valley is affordable. So, I just don't want to watch a show about someone's fertility journey and custody issues and having more babies. And that couple who have 3 under 3 and want 4 under 4, oh my God, who needs that many children these days? Are you Mormons?
It's unusual.
There is a cost of living crisis. There are tariffs. So I saw a preview for Watch What Happens Live, and 2 Valley women, Valley girls, are on the show, and they are pregnant. Kristen and Nia. I think
Right.
is that the 4 under 4 girl?
Maybe I can't. They need name tags.
I'm not sure which ones they are, but stop breeding. They're both heavily pregnant. Like, give me menopausal housewives screeching at each other any day over this show.
Maybe Bravo's just reached their quota of menopausal housewives.
Yes.
So they got to do something different. I think it's actually quite a unique concept because having a baby or young kids, it can be very stressful. So their dilemmas are all going to be heightened. And it is supposed to be joyful as well every now and then. So it would be a bit sad to just be bickering away. Although don't let that stop you, guys. You know, I want to see more of it.
Well, obviously, I will give it a chance. I'm only 1 episode in, but anyway. But over on Love Triangle, or mini MAFS as I like to call it, things finally get menage-a-trois-y. So everyone's second choice suitor shows up unexpectedly. So it's like the grass is greener challenge on MAFS, except that immediately everyone starts living together. And the biggest shocker is that super cute Chloe and Beck, who got out of the friend zone finally and had their first kiss, you know, it seemed like they were, you know, moving towards a relationship. So bisexual Chloe, she actually chose not to find out if her 2 matches were male or female. And she assumed her second match, E, was a guy because she was getting masculine energy from his text, or the person's text, I should say.
Yeah, but then we had that plot twist, right? E is Emma, and she is a chick. And to make things even more awkward, Chloe and Beck are both attracted to her.
It was so awkward but fabulous. And the other thing I found interesting was Ariana and her boy toy Nuri. Remember, Ariana had another match, but he couldn't even be bothered responding to her texts, and he ghosted her.
Yeah.
So suddenly there's a knock on the door, and her other match, Sam, who I'm guessing has been convinced by producers to show the F up and create some drama, appears. So this guy is actually a MAFS alumni, Sam Carraro. And he was a controversial groom on the show. Flirty, do you know who this guy is?
I do, but I was actually shocked when you pointed out it was Sam from MAFS because I didn't recognize him, because you forget these MAFS people so quickly.
It's like repressed trauma.
Yeah. So Sam was on MAFS in 2021 with dyed Billy Idol platinum blonde hair. And he was paired up with Coco. So that's why I didn't recognize him, because now his hair's just dark and normal. He was portrayed as a villain who put Coco down, and they had zip chemistry. And then she had a flirtation with another groom, Cameron, which was dubbed a cheating scandal, but it was so tame compared to this year's MAFS. I mean, like amateur hour, you know, kindergarten level. Anyway, it was a disaster for Sam on MAFS, and now it looks like nothing's changed on this show either.
So, yeah, ultimately it doesn't matter because Ariana rightfully had the shits with him, and he ended up staying on the show for about 2 minutes before demanding they stop filming and storming out. And the last shot we see of him is him standing out in the rain waiting for his ride. So unless producers can convince him to come back again, it looks like he's done.
But is it a bit sad that all these old MAFS contestants are now,
they just
now shoving
through.
over to Love Triangle? We've got Mike from MAFS, we've got Sam from MAFS. Who's next?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So on to our Real Housewives segment. Let's check in with the Real Housewives of Sydney. We saw Kate think about freezing her eggs. And I've said it before, I swear all these reality shows get a sponsorship ad spend from fertility clinics. We see so many scenes in fertility clinics.
It's part of the journey.
Yeah, like ovarian panic or what, I don't know, but like there's a lot of fertility going on. She also decides to test drive motherhood by spending the afternoon with her 3-year-old who has not had a nap, oh dear. And of course, things go terribly wrong. He hits another child in a pit full of plastic balls.
I don't know what these pits are called, but I agree with Kate that they're germ-infested petri dishes, and you would want to douse your entire body in Purell after being near one of them.
Yeah, like let's get the Dettol sanitizer out. And do you know what? Like when my kids were little, I saw several kids vomit in these pits as well. How do you even clean vomit over 3,000 balls in a pit?
It must smell. It's gross. And all the snot, no way.
And as if we weren't traumatized enough, this episode rehashes again the comment from Noosa about not being fully mature until you've had kids, something like that. It's brought up again. And the ladies are now wondering whether Kate finds it hard to relate to them because she isn't a mum.
So I would like to speak to this as a child-free person, not a childless person. I want to weigh on this discussion because it's an interesting dynamic when your friends have kids and you don't. Like some of them fall away, some of them remain. The ones that remain, I think, are the ones who maintain their own identities and interests and don't fall down the mummy rabbit hole never to be seen again.
Yeah, they're stuck in the world of the Wiggles, basically. You never see them again.
So I was on a trip with my husband's work where I got stuck at a table with the wives, and all they talked about was their children the entire time. Well, I sat there with my eyes glazing over, thankful that I had some wine to numb my brain. Oh. And like after this first dinner, I refused to do anything with them because all they talked about were their kids, and I just decided to go exploring on my own. But I have to say, on the flip side, meanwhile, I'm really thankful that I do have a great group of mom friends. And Fleur, you're part of one group that I love. And we can yammer for hours about all sorts of things. Like we might touch on, your kids maybe, but we have so much other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, look, I'm one of those moms who really doesn't want to talk about their kids much. It's so much more fun talking about TV. However, I can bend when the conversation leads into some mums wanting to talk about their kids a lot, because some mums just need to do that.
Yeah.
But I totally get how it is really uncomfortable when you're the only one without kids, when all of the chatter is about kids. Actually, that would suck.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand if you're in a group with school mums, but if you're in a social group, a mixed social group, it's like, anyway.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the trade-off is if I have to hear about someone's children, then they have to endure me talking about my beautiful fur child, Tina Fey. So that's the price you have to pay. Plus, childless cat ladies are all the rage at the moment, so I'm on trend.
Yes, absolutely. And Chrissy actually said it wasn't her. She clarified it wasn't her that instigated that conversation. It was more Martine who made a big deal of that quote about kids. And now Martine's pretending she wasn't the instigator. Ridiculous. We saw it on camera.
Exactly.
And I believe I'll believe anything Chrissy says because aside from Lala, she is one of my favourite housewives ever. I just love her energy, her no BS personality and all-round fabulousness. And by the way, I saw in the Daily Telegraph that she's now renovating her $30 million mansion in Double Bay for another $30 million, which that will make it worth $60 million. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Barbie's dream house. So the boring old neighbours are saying, it'll be too big, it'll be too disruptive. I just reckon they're jealous.
Yeah. If you've got the money, do whatever the F you want.
Yeah. And this new place will include an ice bathroom, treatment rooms, gymnasium, cinema rooms, cellar, amongst a whole lot of stuff. What on earth is an ice bathroom?
Yeah, I guess it's a special container with I don't know.
It's a vat with ice in it. So I gather it's to rejuvenate your immune system or like kickstart something in your body. But can't you just sit in a normal bath filled with cold water? Do you actually need an ice bathroom?
Yeah, I mean it's very trendy. So
would you try it?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't because there are two things I hate. One is being poor, and the other one is being cold. So I try I try to avoid both things at all costs.
Yeah, but we are up for a visit if she does ever want to extend that to us. I've also been listening to Chrissy's podcast, Vodka Lectures. Love that name. And it's sort of like a self-help TED Talk sort of podcast. And I've really enjoyed it. In the last episode, she talks about confidence. She's kind of like a poor man's Oprah saying, you can do it. It's kind of like how to get big dick energy, courtesy of Chrissy Marsh. So iconic.
Yeah, I like it as well. She also talks about how she suffered 7 miscarriages, and she actually shared it was more helpful for her not to do therapy each time. So because she would have been opening up the wound time after time, and sometimes it's not good to process things like that.
Yeah, and I thought that was an interesting point. Yeah. So, Roses and Thorns. My rose goes to Yacht Rock this week, the fantastic HBO documentary spelled D-O-C-K that is currently on the famous channel on Foxtel as well as Binge. So, Yacht Rock is a style of smooth, easy listening soft rock music, primarily from the States, popular in the late 70s and 80s. And in this doco, they have people like more relevant people like Questlove saying it's the music of shopping centres, elevators and dentist chairs. And growing up in Australia in the 70s and 80s, I can confirm this music was like the wallpaper of public life. You heard it everywhere. And actually, I still feel like you hear it everywhere. I'm sure they still play in shopping centres.
Yeah, and so I would just like to thank Sutton Strack of all people because she mentioned the term yacht rock on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills a few years ago. That was the first time I'd ever heard that term, and she unironically explained that it was the music you played when you were out sailing on your yacht, because of course it was. But this term that some of the bands of the time, like Steely Dan, they really hate it nowadays because they feel it makes a joke out of their music. However, this has actually elevated this music now to a whole new audience.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of made it okay to listen to it again. It's cool again in that funny way. And Shell, you were the one that told me to watch this doco when I said I was going to see Toto and Christopher Cross. live here in Sydney because they're two of the main stars of this doco. And I did go to the concert last week at Sydney's ICC and it was so good. Toto were actually amazing live.
I have so much respect for Toto after watching that documentary. They are amazing. And I actually remembered that my uncle's brother was a musician and he used to play with Christopher Cross's band back in the day. This is like, I actually remembered this the other night. So when I was little, I felt like there was like only a few degrees of separation between me and a celebrity.
Oh, Christopher Cross. That was a celebrity. Yeah. So anyway, at the concert, they both did all their hits. Chris Cross did Ride Like the Wind. In my opinion, that is the best yacht rock song ever. I love that song. That opens the doco. And then Toto sang all their hits, of course, Rosanna, Hold the Line, and Africa. I have to say Africa still gets a phenomenal amount of airplay in Australia. It's a 42-year-old song, but it's always on the radio when I'm in the car, although I do listen to Smooth FM.
Maybe I think that explains it. Okay. So there's actually this great tribute band I found called Yachtly Crew, which is an absolutely brilliant name. They are touring Australia in May. If this is your jam, I think you need to get tickets, and I think I actually might need to go.
Well, why don't we go?
I think it'd be fun.
Why don't we? We'll get a yachting captain's hat. They all wear the caps.
Exactly.
Where do you get those from?
I think it's just the dollar store. But
Sheen, maybe. Do you think they have they sell merchandise there?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they do. They would have to.
Okay. Well, I did have a great time at this concert. However, I wasn't on my feet because I wasn't exactly on my feet. I was swaying in my chair because we were in the balcony area of ICC at the top, right up against quite a low waist-high barrier, and the man next to me was drunk. And I was so worried that when he was on his feet swaying to Africa, that he was going to topple over the edge and plummet to the ground. And in fact, there seemed to be a lot of drunk oldies around us, like really getting wasted to go to Toto. Maybe because we were in the cheap seats. I was seeing, where's all the sophisticated retirees? Anyway, do you have a favourite yacht rock song? I keep wanting to say rock yacht or it's yacht rock. Yeah.
Well, I was actually thinking about this because I read this great story right before Christmas, where Bill Murray was in the Carlo Hotel in New York at the piano bar, the famous piano bar, and the guy was playing and he requested that the piano guy play Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. And he was with the guy who actually wrote the song and was the lead singer of this band called Looking Glass. I know you would know it. I know you would know it if you heard it. But that song
Brandy, You're a Fine Girl.
Yeah, I can't sing it unless I have 2 glasses of wine, but you will recognize it. And that song has been in my head since Christmas, ever since I heard that story. But like, how iconic to see Bill Murray. Like Lost in Translation is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have to Google it after this.
Well, my husband's always playing Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers every Saturday for some easy weekend listening. I say, please play something from this century for a change so our kids know that there is more to life than the Doobie Brothers. Think of the children.
Fair enough.
Think of the children. I also found it interesting to learn in this doco that Michael Jackson's Thriller album was largely a collaboration between Michael, Quincy Jones and Toto because they were the best session musicians in LA at the time. So Toto actually played on most of the songs and they also wrote Human Nature.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's incredible.
There's so much trivia in this. It's so cool. And I also love the bits about Michael McDonald singing on so many songs. And I was also really sad about Christopher Cross because he was like the Ed Sheeran back in the day and he won 4 Grammys for his debut album, but he just couldn't maintain his success in the MTV era. And this actually shows you video really did kill the radio star.
Yeah, because he kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Right? And a big part of that was because he was on the cusp of that era and he was this tubby, ordinary-looking guy, a bit like your economics teacher who just didn't know how to progress to the next level. And in fact, I also noted that in this doco, one of the guys in it was saying, I hated the videos. I didn't become a musician to become like a silent film actor from the 1920s. Because that's basically what a video clip is. You're acting with no dialogue, right? And a lot of those bands actually did not survive that era. And I think that was a big reason why.
Yeah.
So it's a quirky watch. And if you're old as us, you'll probably really enjoy it too.
I loved it. I thought it was so good. And so on to my rose for the week. So Hacks is back. Season 4 of this fabulous series just started on Stan last week. And this, if in case you don't know, is about legendary stand-up comic Deborah Vance. She's played by the amazing Jean Smart, and her relationship with her young woke writer Ava, who's played by Hannah Einbinder. This show has won so many awards, including Emmys this year for Best Comedy Series, and Jean Smart won for Best Lead Actress. And the premise of this season is that Deborah gets her dream job as the host of her own late-night talk show, and Ava blackmails her to get the head writer job. They're at each other's throats, and it is comedy gold. Mm-hmm. So the rest of the cast is absolutely brilliant as well. And a fun trivia fact, the new assistant on the show named Randy is played by actress Robbie Hoffman, who is married to our girl Gabby Windey from The Traitors.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, they're such an interesting couple.
They are very interesting, and I love Gabby Windey. She is absolutely one of the best things to come out of reality TV in the last few years. Just such a natural, so funny. We love her. So switching gears, I don't actually have a thorn this week. I am going to give out a second rose instead for Last Take, Rust and the Story of Helena. This is the new documentary on Disney+, very popular at the moment on the platform. This is about the tragic death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on Rust, the 2021 Alec Baldwin movie.
Yeah, so this is where she was accidentally killed by a live bullet that was unknowingly in Alec's gun, which he fired at her.
Right, so I actually could have given this a thorn because the doco doesn't explore what was my main question from day one. How did the live bullets get onto the set in the first place? I had to do my own investigation, and now I do have more answers, which I'll explain in a minute. However, the doco is also a tribute to Helena's life work and her role as a wife and a mum and a friend. Plus, every person in this is so heartbroken and says such lovely things about her that I wanted to give this a rose because I felt it was quite sensitively made, even though it is a tough watch. So it's revealed this awful moment was basically a perfect storm of errors involving a lot of people and variables. Firstly, there were safety concerns from the start. Production members said the set was sloppy and discharges with live bullets had already occurred prior, which I didn't know.
Wow.
However, nothing was done, and almost all of Helena's camera crew, about 5 people, ended up resigning in protest the day before her death. So the accident took place inside a church, and it was just Helena, the director Joel Souza, and Alec. Normally, if there'd been more crew, they would have been able to position the equipment better, it's explained, and stand more out of harm's way. But Helena was forced to be at the front near her monitor as there was no one there to help her.
That is just crazy. Like, I didn't realize that there was so much chaos on the set and that 5 people quit and that the production just had so many issues. Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, and it's very sad because we see a camera member in tears saying, oh, if only he'd been there, it might not have happened, etc. Just heart-wrenching. And it was then said by assistant director Dave Smalls, who was later, he took a plea deal. He pled guilty to negligence, actually. He was supposed to be in charge of safety, and he says that it was Helena that told Alec to point the gun more towards her for the scene, although we don't know if, she actually said that or not.
So people have been saying it's Alec's fault as well. Do they talk about that?
Yeah, because where he is at fault is that you're never supposed to actually point a gun directly at someone on set, which I didn't know. You're supposed to point it a bit to someone's side in case there is an accident. But terribly, this shot goes straight into her chest, out of her back, and then it lodges in the shoulder of the director, Joel, who survived. Then the documentary shifts to the responsibility of the armourer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is just 24 at the time. So she was the one who brought the box of bullets onto set. Firstly, she was flat out doing 2 jobs, it's explained. She was the armourer and she was the props assistant as well, due to budget restraints. And they show an email from a producer who actually complains that she's spending too much time on the guns and to pick up the pace.
Wow.
She's like, okay, well, I will. And then it's shockingly revealed, this is so shocking, there were 6 live bullets floating about on the set. And in this doco, they're everywhere. They show the pictures. There was one on the monitor. There was 2 in Alex's gun holster belt that he was wearing. He didn't even know. All over the place. So the dummy bullets in the box on the day, they had a small gold circle on the bottom, and the 2 live ones in the box had a small silver circle. That's the only way you could tell them apart.
Oh, my God. So she obviously didn't check the bottom of the bullets before she loaded Alex's gun.
No. So this is where her part in the doco sort of ends. She was found guilty of manslaughter and she's currently in jail for 18 months. But I wanted to know more. How did the live bullets get in the box.
Yeah.
So I went digging for receipts because that is not touched upon in the doco, and I found out that Hannah got this box from a prop supplier called Sean Kenny. Sean says the box was all blanks. He claims he checked them. However, he did have live bullets at his business because, ironically, a bunch of them had been provided to him by Thel Reed, a famous 82-year-old armourer who happens to be Hannah's stepfather.
Right.
Thel had used these live bullets to train actors on the set of TV show 1883 for target practice so they could get used to what it feels like for a live bullet to be discharged.
I can't believe they left that out of the documentary. So did this Sean Kinney guy mix up the bullets in the box maybe?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Did she already get them mixed up? And I was also thinking, did she somehow lose some bullets and then go and ask her dad to give her dummies, and she accidentally wound up with live bullets from him, and then they all got mixed up? It's just so messy. There were also allegations of her alcohol and drug use whilst she was employed under Rust, so maybe that impaired her judgment.
Yeah, so
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I read an interview with Rust director Joel Souza, and while he called the documentary a very moving film, he also expressed some disappointment in its direction. So he said that the original intention when they contacted him, the intention was that the doco was going to be more about Helena, and he claims the producers were put under pressure to go in a different direction and completely change the story. And the producer, Julie Meets, admitted that the focus of the documentary did change, saying, as we gained new partners on this project, it became clear that there was a commercial value to the story of Rust, and that there was the story and that was the story we had to tell. It became less about Helena's life and more about her death. So obviously to make the film, it sounds like the finance people wanted to focus on the accident because that's the hook. That's what people want to know about. So Helena's life wasn't in the spotlight in spite of the name of the documentary and its original attention. It's just such a tragedy all around.
Yeah, look, I thought it was quite well balanced. I thought there was a good balance of her life, her life's work and who she was versus the accident. I thought it was well done. And look, I can understand why Joel Souza's not happy because he was the director.
Yeah.
It was his film. He was at the top of the tree, and it does make him look pretty bad. The other mystery is, why exactly do people hate Alec Baldwin so much? They flash up some headlines about him and they are not good.
Yeah.
Because people do feel he was somewhat responsible as he fired the gun. But aside from that, people just hate Alec Baldwin. Thread after thread I've seen on this, he just gets slammed. And I never watched 30 Rock, so I'm not familiar with him. But Shelley, you did. Why do you think he's so polarizing?
I think he's always been polarizing. He's always done regular appearances on Saturday Night Live. He played Donald Trump, but he's been on Saturday Night Live over the years, and he was absolutely brilliant on 30 Rock. He's a really great actor, but his personal life has always been really complicated. Like, he's gotten into fights with the paparazzi in New York, and who can forget, like, remember when he called his daughter Ireland a rude little pig when she was like 11 years old?
It was like a leaked voicemail message that he left.
Yes, for an 11-year-old child. And he was going through a really nasty custody battle with Kim Basinger at the time. But yeah, he's very polarizing.
I mean, I get that, and I do remember, but I think that's so far in the past now. I thought people would have forgotten, but obviously they don't. I strongly feel that this is why he and Hilaria wanted to do the Baldwins show, to try and repair his reputation, reinvent him as a cuddly dad of 7. But I now think people like him even less because they don't like Hilaria either.
Yeah, I don't know how much that was a success, that show.
Yeah. Anyway, Rust, the movie, is coming out. They did actually finish it. It's apparently out next month in May. As Helena's family say, that's the way she would have wanted it.
Well, so I actually do have a thorn this week. My thorn is Elizabeth Hurley and Billy Ray Cyrus. Those are two names that I never thought I would say in the same sentence. I just don't think this is a good match at all.
Oh, really?
No.
I actually like the idea of them together. Okay, at first I was horrified, but then I came around to it. It's bizarrely cute. I mean, it's so Liz. She does like an odd man. Plus, she's now possibly Miley Cyrus's future stepmom. That's kind of great, isn't it?
Well, it's just bizarre because Liz hard launched their relationship over Easter, and I think it had many people spitting out their hot cross buns because everyone's like, "Is this for real?" And Liz, she definitely has an interesting dating history, from Hugh Grant to American businessman Steve Bing, the father of son Damien, who she had to forced to take a paternity test. And
that's right.
Yes, it was horrible. And she was also married to Indian businessman Aaron Nair. And who can forget her engagement to our very own Shane Warne?
Yeah, the Shane thing was always very, very weird. Basically, it's like an international buffet of men.
I know.
She likes different men from different countries.
I was going to say, she doesn't have a type because all of these guys are wildly different.
That's right. They look so different as well.
Exactly.
Different jobs, different looks, different countries, different professions.
So Billy Ray and Liz actually starred in a movie together called Christmas in Paradise in 2022, and his ex-wife Tish said she thought they had an affair while they were making this movie when he was still married to her.
And can I say, that sounds like a bad movie, Christmas in Paradise?
I think it got like 3 stars or something.
Oh, that's a good rating.
3 out of 10?
Oh, 3 out of 10. I think 3 out of 5. Okay, no, that's bad.
No,
confirms it's bad.
I don't think it was a good movie, but this is actually how they met, because it's so random. And apparently Billy Ray reached out to Liz after his short-lived marriage to Australian singer Fire Rose was ending last year. And according to sources, Liz believes she can save Billy after years of woe and trouble, and including helping him fix his messy relationships with his kids and introducing him to a more wholesome life in the country.
Yeah, and didn't one of his sons do a social media post a few months ago saying, my dad is not well?
Yeah.
As in mental health-wise? He doesn't seem well.
I mean, all of the press from his ex-wife, Fire Rose, like it's really like not good. And he was also in the news a few months ago because he had a very messy performance at Donald Trump's inauguration and had like a meltdown. And Miley is actually estranged from him, and she's about to launch an album and a movie, and she's mad because she's afraid that a relationship is going to overshadow all of her stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So I just have a message for Liz. Run. Don't try and save anyone. Like, just stay on your farm in the UK, grow your organic veggies, keep posting thirst trap photos and bikinis from your swimwear line. You look amazing. Put your energy into your ridiculously handsome son, Damien. Keep living your best life. Like, if you want to save something and have a project, get a rescue dog.
But I think she likes a challenge, Liz.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
Join us next week for So Many Receipts.